Now let's go through some trades. I don't know if I'm going to be fully locked in. Well, I won't be until after the Raiders game because I'm going to be looping Taps and Hosking and seeing how things go with that one there. And hopefully they both score well because it gives me a few more options. And if they don't, then it gives me a few less options there. Or if Tarpane scores well, I'd keep him in there as a looper. And then, I can move some things around there. I've got White who can move down for Aitken, but then I need another mid. So, it's less that we can really do. It's more just around Aitken, actually, with my decision-making. As if I actually sell him, because I'm potentially looking at 3 trades this week, and I can move around with Lucas and Aitken into that slot there, and if it all goes well in that section, then Hosking would come into that edge spot, and we keep Colo where he is, which is cool. The other thing I'm looking at is I've got 2 trades in there right now. The third trade would be Aitken to one of the big dogs down below in center and wing fullback. So you can see now I have Bird in the side, and I also have Tom Trebojevic. So Couchman and Yongi are both out right now. Bird and Turbo in. Now, hopefully, there's a rumor, guys, Rugby League Gurus put out, apparently, it's on NRL Fantasy Scout, all those places, that they think Bird's going to be out this week. So at this point, I'm doing this Thursday night. I've got a busy day tomorrow, so unable to do this video then, but you may know by this stage. Hopefully we do. I would hope that Bird is available because he really helps me next week, and he's actually the most important trade in my side because I do need 2 other middle edge, either position next week, and if there's injuries and stuff like that, like there's easily a couple of guys I could bring in. Even if I was to do 3 trades this week, it leaves me with 3. I'd like to do 2 trades next week, leave me with the 1 plus the 8 for the the final 8 rounds. There would be okay enough when we'd survive. But if we didn't have to next week and we could get away with it and then push into round 20 and use some extra trades in that one, that would be my goal. So hopefully Bird, he's definite as a trade in this week. Turbo, I don't need extra wing fullbacks or centers, and we discussed that in my round results video for those that tuned in, that Turbo was a guy that misses next week in round 19 but isn't a big factor, and at that mid-range price there allows me to have a guy that is a nice looping target, an upside type of player, and at a reasonable price at 416. He only has to hit mid-30s to high 30s, and he is worth his weight in gold with the chance of going 49s and 50s and 60s and whatever else, depending if he's center or wing or at fullback and gets moved around. So you can see there at 716k in the bank. The final trade that I would be looking at, the person who's sitting on the edge of my tongue right now is actually, it can be center or wing fullback, but let's just go to the wing fullbacks now. I think that's a more important spot. And you can see there the first guy on the list at the most expensive is going to be Nwangani Tawaze, and he's actually the guy I want the most right now. He does have the dual, which is helpful as well. There's going to be a stage over the next few weeks where I will be selling one of my mid-range type of centers or wing fullbacks. So it could be a Garrick, it could be this person I trade in, right? It could definitely happen. But when you're sitting there with probably 13 guns in your side out of the 21, somewhere there that you're pretty happy with, over 600k long term heading into the rest of the season for the last 10 rounds, you probably are still going, with more than 8 trades to go, you probably are going to sell a few of these mid-ranges and maybe 1 or 2 of the guys you trade in this week. So I just need everyone to have that in their mind, so that's where it could go. The 3 guys on my list are Nwangi Tawaze, Pappenhausen, and Drinkwater. And all of them I can wait until the Raiders game is done, which is good to if I sell Aitken or not. Now, if things don't go to plan with Hosking and he scores under 40, then I'll avoid doing it and just play Aitken, I think. If it's a 35, that type of range, then I'll maybe just hold him and try and get that better score there rather than making the extra trade for a guy that I may not want anyway, as a complete, fully fledged long-term keeper, and just deal with it this week, play the 12 and go from there. But I think it's a optimal strategy for my side, leaving me with 3 trades to go, which will still be about the same as the average, I'd say, having 3 after this week, maybe slightly above average, that I can use those extra trades to help next week, help round 20, and just be slightly ahead of the pack on trades post round 20, really. Because that's the goal. If you can keep a couple in the bank before people use like 2, 3, and 4 come round 20, if you only use that 2 marker and you already had 2 in the bank before that, then you're in a better position. So when I look at those 3 there, they could all become keepers. They're all basically averaging 48, which in this wing fullback or centre position, you've got guys averaging 60s in the centres. You've got Latrell, we know who can average 60 there. You've got Teddy above 55. And you've got Campbell near 60 as well. Carraz at 57 or 56 or whatever he is after now, 56. So there's a few guys there that are above. And maybe that's where Nwangani Tuaze with the duel is more helpful. You can move him around. They all don't have a clear buy coming up, which is good. Pappenhausen definitely has some upside. Him and Nwangani Tuaze has the easiest matchup this week, just with the team, in a decently strong position, but also Pap and Drinky have that type of role as well. I think both the Roosters and the Storm have the better section of games, and they're in better teams. Drinkwater, cheaper, but coming up against some tougher opponents, and also didn't goal kick half the time on the weekend. So if that's going to be a reduction in his scoring, then that's something to think about as well. You've got Leo Hopewadi at 492. I think at this point, you can see that he can have low ones at fullback. So Turbo, 70-odd K cheaper, probably ends up being in a better position as a pickup. Some people talking about Seb Chris and these types of guys, but yeah, they're probably not for me in my situation. I want to go for someone with a little bit more upside like Mr. Tommy Turbo at the moment. So yeah, with the squad right now, not happy that Carraz being out hurts. We do need to worry about this information around Bird. I'd love to use him and Lucas in edge next week and then just buy Isaiah Yeo probably, or Watson, and go from there. Get that mid for round 19. One of those guys that backs up and go from there. And yeah, not have to use a crazy amount of trades, have 1 or 2 in the bank heading into round 20 and go from there. Because when you look at the side now, we've got a few of those mid-range players. Tavanga probably can go. That's where like him going to Watson is a very nice one. We want Haas, we want Latrell. We've got a few mid-rangers in Hines, in Aiken, in Hosking that, we can lose sort of 2 or 3 out of the 4. Hines, I feel like they've got a pretty decent run, so I think he's easy to hold at under 600k. Zavala might be a sell eventually over the next few weeks. Garrick, we could move on as well. As I said, Garrick or Nwangi Tuaze. So there's a few upgrade targets, and having the 700k in the bank, which if I sold Aiken to any of these guys, I'm improving on that number to 730, 770, 800 even with Drinky there or close to it. So that's where having 4 of those mid-range guys, or even King Tonga at near 400k after this week, could be used to upgrade, which is great. And we love that. And then we've got a few guys at 400k or just below that are available for us to use as upside players or in case of emergency, or they sit at 17, 18, 19 as loopers in our team, and we can sail off into the sunset and push ourselves back into the top 1k. Now I think I've full faith that I will get there into that top 1,000 as people start to lose lose spots in their rankings over the next few weeks. It's definitely a spot over the next few that where people can make ranks, especially in round 19 next week. If people are struggling in probably mid and edge, is where it's going to be with the Rabbitohs and the Raiders, like very, very heavy in a lot of teams, and yeah, similar in mine there. So yeah, if people have run out of trades, that's where I think we'll lose them a bit, and then they're going to have to sell the Catchmans and all these types of guys if they've run out there, which we'll get into the yafss.com to show all that over the next week or so. So that's my team at the moment. That's where I'm thinking of going, leave myself plenty of cash to do upgrades in round 19. Round 20 will be Latrell. Round 21 will be Haas. So needing that extra from the mid-range guys to get to those really gun players and build myself to a best 17 with a few of those 3 to 400k guys in the bottom section there, with ability to maybe go a King Tonga or something to a cheaper cash down or a cash cow like we had last year was Casey McLean. There might be one of those that helped me get that extra couple 100k to build to an Isaiah Katoa, or if I don't get Watson next week, like a Watson to cover hooker and mid, and these types of plays there could be helpful in the side, whether it's Preston or an Eli Katoa, these types of players there. So we'll see how it all pans out, guys. Let me know your thoughts on trades and strategy and what you're thinking. But that's kind of where my team's at, and we're gonna leave it there. Thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. We finally get to watch some footy tonight, Doggies and the Broncos.